Welcome to another live stream session on the topic of unlearning. I'm Katie Caruan, and today's topic is all about unlearning the comparison trap towards other professionals. I would like to kick us off by some practicalities, unless you have been participating in the past. I just want to mention that you need to turn on your audio, maybe on your computer, on your cell phone device to attend. And please feel free to ask anything you would like in the chat. I run this via LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and maybe I'll pick up some comments as we go along during the live stream event as well. So with that, we are ready to kick this off. And as a reminder, this is not about forgetting anything about the comparison trap, quite the opposite. It's about understanding more about it, but also trying to find some mental alternative models so we can change perspective and start turning this trap into something that could be beneficial to us. Let's dive in. And this is important in general to unlearn some number of bad habits, things that are not serving us anymore. We need to unlearn in order to relearn and to be ready and be adaptive into the demands and the expectations for the future work. So this is why I'm running this live stream series, and I hope that you find it interesting. Let's dive into the areas where we will cover some examples today, because when I meet my clients and customers every week, they are either looking for a new job, or they are looking to start their own business, or they could even be wanting to actually look into doing a better job where they are. So no matter which scenarios, all of these unlearning topics are hopefully of interest and benefit to know and understand more about, and also start practicing about. So if you're here for the first time, a warm welcome to you, and feel free to add any comments you might have or questions in the chat box. Let's move on to today's topic quite rapidly and cracking the code about understanding this phenomenon. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a behavioral scientist, but I have been a study of life for a long time, and I meet people every week who are constantly falling into this trap. And to be honest, I do it as well. So this notion of the comparison trap is all about a very fundamental human impulse. We are triggered to feel envy when we compare ourselves to others. There's nothing wrong with that. But it could be harmful, and we're coming back to that a little bit later on. But there could also be some benefits in understanding this phenomenon. And what happens is that we start questioning ourselves and our shortcomings, our mistakes or failures, even choices and decisions we've made in the past. And we can feel a certain level of inadequacy when we compare ourselves to family, to friends, colleagues, people from the past. And that could show up in very different areas. Some examples could be about comparisons within the area of appearance, could be in the area of relationships, in the area of wealth, accomplishments, even goals. And as we are, many of us, consumers of social media on a daily basis, we're constantly reminded about these things. Typically, many of us are looking into social media when we have a downtime, and maybe that's when we are most vulnerable to self-reflect about these things, and some things then might turn and get out of proportion. So it needs to be emphasized that social media is actually amplifying the negative aspects of this comparison trap. There's no way we can shut this down, so we just need to accept that it exists, but we can catch ourselves and we can start looking at, okay, so how do I handle this? If I now detach myself from my ego and look at what is really going on here, why is this happening? Why is this triggering this comparison trap that might be negative to me? It's quite natural that we would like to evaluate ourselves. And also another phenomenon, of course, is that we jump into constant judgment about others as well. We can't stop that, but we can catch ourselves and we can start thinking about, okay, what is this really about? And is there a way to practice to get better at avoiding the negative aspects of it? So that's about the phenomenon. And I've made some notes as well that I would like to share with you. I found a very good article from 2017 from Psychology Today, and I pulled out some strategies from there and will use them to share today. So you can pick some of that up if that's interesting to you. But before we do that, I would like to focus on what the comparison trap means in form of being either helpful or harmful. And of course, helpful, that's when we are reminded about something that we get motivated by, that we can strive for something, that we know that we are good at something and we can improve that. And of course, we can boost our self-esteem by doing so. And this type of self-improvement type of activities is, of course, positive. We don't always feel it like that. So we need to understand also why it can become harmful. And the harmful piece has to do with us being caught in a thought storm about the negative aspects. We might be feeling inadequate, or we might feel even inferior, even depressed, and we can regret a number of things that we have done in the past, of our shortcomings, of our decisions, of our choices. And that is not really helpful. And then again, social media is amplifying this as we go along. So, what I would like to focus on here today is also some of the strategies that we can use in order to tilt this around and remind ourselves easily in our daily lives when this happens to us, that we don't give it too much power and too much impact on our decisions and our well-being. I would love then to move on to the third bullet here, and that has to do with practicing the new strategies to change this behavior. So for those of you who are watching several of these live stream sessions, you will know that I always try to very briefly explain the phenomena. I offer a new perspective, and then I come up with some ideas on how you can actually improve and practice and change the behavior over time. So I made some notes about 5 different things that I think could be helpful, and certainly they have proven helpful to me. So I will mention them now, and then I will give you some examples as well from my own life and my own career that might even resonate with you. We'll see. So first of all, practicing a new strategy when you feel that you are caught in this trap, to untrap yourself, could be to look for certain things and consciously choose to reflect about certain aspects. And one of them is about choosing to look for connection and not comparison. That means that when you are comparing yourself to others, look for the connection instead, and look for those relationships or the things that you find valuable when you are not online, but when you are offline. What are you looking for there, and why should you look for something else on social media? The second thing is about choosing whom to compare yourself with, whether it's something that is realistic, attainable, even helpful. And that has to do with choosing to compare yourself to somebody who could have you stretch, maybe somebody who's 2 to 3 steps ahead of you in some area, not somebody who is 10 steps ahead of you, but somebody who is closer, so it becomes more attainable. The third thing is about focusing on the good things in life. And there many people are talking about this, to feel gratitude and to express gratitude and to focus on the things you have and not the things you lack. And it seems to be something that helps us pay more or less attention to what we lack, which is also helpful then to feel good about the choices we made and feel good about the decisions we made in the past as well. So that was about connection. It was about comparing yourself to somebody who is a few steps ahead of yourself. And it was about focusing on the good things in life. And then the fourth area has to do with evaluating yourself, not maybe to somebody else necessarily, but to yourself, to a previous version of yourself. and find that motivation when you are actually feeling and seeing the progress. You feel that you're mastering something, and this we know is a very strong intrinsic motivational driver, which is helpful in terms of getting this inner satisfaction and feeling of accomplishment, feeling of mastery. That leaves me with one more thing to mention today, the fifth one. So we talked about connection, we talked about the comparison to somebody who is a little bit ahead of you, talked about the good things in life, we talked about evaluating yourself towards a previous version of yourself. And then finally, it has to do with finding those inspirational role models. Who and what do you admire? What are you looking to get inspired by? What you feel appreciative about? Who is that and what is it? And how can you indulge yourself in that space with those people or that those type of resources that will help you feel that you are inspired and on the move in terms of stretching yourself and feeling that you are safe, that you are adequate, that you are motivated, and that you have direction. Those were a number of strategies that I found when I did some simple research. I use these a lot of the time when I meet with my clients and customers. Typically, we have a lot in common in terms of comparison traps. And just to mention a few examples from my own business, of course, when I was in corporate, I compared myself to my peers. I compared myself in terms of accomplishments or in terms of jobs or results. We had this rating system, and I compared myself to other peers in that system. When I left corporate and started my own business, I, by default, compared myself to people who were more successful in terms of visibility, in terms of clarity, in terms of KPIs, in terms of following, and so on. And it made me question a lot of my own decisions. And as I grew into that role more in depth, I can see that it's really helpful to compare myself to my previous version of myself. So I hope that I'm about to sneeze here. This is a live stream, so we take everything as it comes. But I hope those were some examples that inspires you to think about your own situation as well, because again, this is natural. We can't avoid it, but we can catch ourselves and we can start practicing some mental models to make it have a positive impact instead of a negative impact. I would love to leave you with a short challenge, as I always do in these sessions. And I would love to ask you these questions. So why don't you look into yourself and make a note, a mental note, when you typically compare yourself to other professionals? What type of scenarios, what type of situations? And be curious about it. Don't be too hard on yourself, but just learn what it is about. And then think about these 5 different strategies, and maybe you can use one or more of them to actually develop a more stable sense of self. What could that be to you? I'm checking here if I got any comments here. I don't. So I would I see that some people are joining in with some greetings, but there are no questions. And that leaves me for today. I would just like to let you know that the next live stream is about actually a meta topic. This has been my 7th live stream today, and now time has come to look back and see what did we learn. So the next live stream 1 week from now will be about unlearning bad habits when running live stream events. I've had a number of lessons learned myself, and I want to share them so I can inspire you or anyone else in order to go along and start live streaming as well, if that's what you're looking to do. So I hope to see you then again soon, and have a great week ahead. I am looking forward to getting some ideas of new topics as well. And next week will be a meta perspective on the challenge and the, I would say, nice challenge of running live streams, because it is a different animal compared to running webinars that you can edit in the afterwards. This is something quite different, and it has been very interesting learning experience to me personally. So thank you for your greetings, and have a wonderful day ahead, and hope to see you again next time. Take care. Bye.